Steve Tannen right here blocked it. Steve, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I was lined up on the left side, and I was sweating a lot. They snapped the ball. It's just one of those things that it's one of the things I seem to have a penchant for. I blocked a bunch of kicks when I was there and returned some. We just were trying. Everybody was just trying as hard as they could to do the best job they could, and maybe giving a little extra thing because of the. We were trying to put some impetus behind this decision about Gene, and we also had a thing about beating SEC champs, of which we thought we should have been. So we just played really hard, and I was real happy personally because in the preseason, the lead up to the '69 season, Playboy had. They always put out a preseason All-American team, and that's where they picked Houston. But I was also lucky enough to be picked as one of these defensive backs, and I had gone to Chicago and met Steve Kiner, who was also picked as a linebacker, and he was from Tennessee. And so we kind of had this thing going and talked a little bit. And he was, he was pretty cocky, and they didn't think we belonged, with them. So all that just served to make us want to win more. I mean, people talk about putting things on the bulletin board in the locker room, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Pretty much everybody gets fired up for a game. When they're big favorites, they kind of think that they should win anybody, and nobody's telling them anything new. But when somebody says something or stuff like that, then it can kind of get your back up.
You blocked the punt, and the fellow right here, Mike Kelly, picked it up and ran it in. In addition to that, Mike had a great game, had a fumble recovery and an interception, a punt block return for a touchdown, and 14 tackles to go with it. Mike, can you share your thoughts on that Tennessee game?
It was a dream. It was a dream game. I remember Gino had us so fired up that I was having dreams the night before the game, and I had a writer from the Orlando Sentinel come and interview me for breakfast time, and was asking me about the game and about Reynolds and Kiner and all these guys. And I said, I had a dream. And he said, what'd you dream? I said, I dreamed I scored a touchdown. I said, can you imagine a linebacker scoring a touchdown in the Gator Bowl? And he listened to me, and I told him about the story. And then Steve blocks the punt. And, of course, Tommy Abdenauer was right there. It was right in his hands. But Tommy really wasn't that good at catching balls. I mean, Tommy could knock him down, but, when it came to catching, it went through his hands and in my hands. And the amazing thing, if you watch any of the film, is Tannen blocked the punt. I recovered the ball and started lumbering in, is the way they described it in the newspaper. I was lumbering in to score, and you can actually see Tannen, after blocking the punt, turning around and coming back to make a block on Kurt Watson to keep him from tackling me from behind, which was an amazing play.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, yes.
I knew you'd like that a little bit.
I did.
So you came off, emotional locker room, Gators come out, play that was schemed up in the locker room and executed it with a big play punt block for a touchdown, 7-0. Into first quarter, 7-0. Okay, let's talk about the second quarter.
Well,
John Reeves?
They had an outstanding defense. They had 2 All-Americans at linebackers, Jack Hacksaw Reynolds at middle linebacker. And I remember one of the first few series of the game, we ran a quarterback sneak. It was 3rd and 1. So I had on that single bar face mask, and I said, well, I'm going to run over Jack Reynolds. And sure enough, the Red Sea parted there, and I ran into him. And when I got up, I was looking outside of my ear hole. And these little butterflies were floating around in the air. And I thought I was Batman, I think, for a while there. But anyway, that got my attention. He was built like a gorilla to begin with. And they had an outstanding, probably the best defense we played all year, because they shut our offense down better than anybody did the whole year, really. We scored 1 TD. I can't remember whether it was the first half or the second half, but I remember I threw a corner route to Carlos for a touchdown, and Wayne Griffith likes to remind us that we were on the 1 when the clock rounded out, and I let the clock run out instead of score again. It could have been worse.
but before you got that point, Tennessee made a comeback there, and they got 10 points in the second quarter. Tom Abdenauer and Steve, how was the game progressing? Because they were pretty much moving the football and controlling the game.
Yeah, they had more running yards, more passing yards than us, but there were 3 goal line stances in that game where we shut those guys down. And I think people forget that we always had that feeling that we would bend, but we would not break. and they needed a touchdown. They had 3 opportunities in the goal line, and we shut them down. We shut them down in the fourth quarter, tried to run on those little option plays, and we just creamed them. And, Tennessee, I think, really started to understand that, hey, Florida was just not another cream puff team. We were there to play them and play them tough, and I don't think they were happy about it.
Now, guys, after getting ahead 7-0 first quarter, punt block, now they come back. They're ahead 10-7 at half. Can you tell us a little bit what that locker room was at like at halftime, Max Steen?
We had another half of football to play. Nothing's decided at half when it's so close.
Yeah,
we decided we had to execute a little bit better.
Yep.
And we didn't.
And in preparation for that game, Gene Ellenson also taught us well how to stop their option plays against us. And Jack Youngblood was making some outstanding tackles. Right up as the first handoff guy would come through the line, Jack would just cream him. And I think Gino thought we were playing tough, and I think he was right there with us saying, hey, guys, you've got them where you want them. They're not going to score against you again. And you gave them 1 touchdown, but you're not going to give them another, and we didn't. And I think that all I can remember is that, we're going to go back out there. We're going to show them. No more points, guys. This is the end of it.
Mike Kelly, what were you thinking at halftime? Gators down 10-7.
Oh, I was optimistic. I knew we were going to come back and win. They had a guy named Chip Kell that was this All-American guard, and he was supposed to be really bad, and I was playing over him pretty much the whole game, and I enjoyed the game against Chip. And so I knew that the way he was reacting to our aggressiveness, that they knew they were in a game and that we were going to come back in the second half. And it was like a dream game. They were coming down the field and looked like they were going to score again. And Tannen said he hit the guy so hard that he fumbled, and the ball came rolling right into my hands. And then they were coming down again and threw a pass, and I was back in the pass coverage, and the ball came right into my hands, and took it and ran back about 30 yards. That's about as far as I could run back then, and still have some breathing room. But no, I figured at halftime that the way we were playing, we were going to be in the game till the end.
Okay, we'll come out 10-7, start the third quarter. During the third quarter, that's when John Reeves hit. You guys had a good drive, and John Reeves hit Carlos Alvarez for a touchdown, and Gators go up 14-10. John, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that drive and the touchdown that got up to 14 points?
You mentioned halftime. I think that's only the second time that year we were behind at half. The other time being Auburn, maybe.
Yeah.
And but Auburn was weird. That was like Halloween or something out there. But there was a lot of concern, but it wasn't fear about going out there. We were behind, but we knew we had a good chance to win. And so there was a lot of preparation at halftime, a lot of adjustments. The coaches were making adjustments there, as I recall, in the locker room. And Coach Ellenson was taking the defense. Coach Pancoast was handling the offense. And sure enough, we were able to put it together. And I think we had a good drive and took it down there. And I remember it was a rollout to the left and hit Carlos on a corner route for the touchdown. And I was able to stand up because of the great play of our defense that day.
In the third quarter, Gators now up 14-10. Actually 14-13. Tennessee got a field goal somewhere along the way, so it's 14-13 into the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. Now